Shabbat Shalom. So, what don't we see that is right in front of us? What are we blind to? Are we blind to perhaps signs of depression or other mental illness or risky or destructive behavior in a family member, a friend, a neighbor, a loved one, a student? Or what about signs of substance abuse or domestic abuse? How often do we hear over and over again after a suicide or a school or mass shooting or any other number of tragedies, the signs were there, but I didn't see it or I didn't say anything if I did see it? What are we blind to? And to what do we turn a blind eye? It's interesting how many phrases begin with the word blind in English. Blindside is one. As a verb, being blindsided means being surprised or attacked without warning, something happening unexpectedly. As a noun, blindside, it means an area you literally cannot see, like what's behind you or next to you. It's like in a car that may have a blind spot. Our brain and our hearts and our emotions have mental, emotional, physical, and political, and hopefully also sometimes just unintentional blind spots. We all have these blind spots. What we don't see, what we don't perceive, what we may not understand, whether consciously or unconsciously. The father Isaac in our Parsha in Toldot, the part we didn't read today, has just such blind spots. And it was his son Esav. Esav, I guess to say Esau in English, right? Esav is the eldest, and by rights of ancient law, primogeniture, he should be inheriting the birthright and become the next tribal leader. But he's a rough man. He's a hunter. And not only that, he's ruled by his passions. When he's hungry, he's got to eat right away. And he sells his birthright in last week, in the portion, the part we didn't read. He sells his birthright to his brother to get a bowl of stew. And when two women catch his eye, two local women, he quickly marries them against his parents' wishes, regardless that their beliefs are completely opposite his own, and irrespective of the fact that he makes particularly his mother's life miserable, because remember, everyone's living together and all the women are probably living in the same tent. The Torah tells us that Isaac has grown old and his eyes have dimmed. And the great medieval commentator explains that his eyes were smoky. And perhaps that's what we might refer today as cataracts, because if you look at someone before there was cataract surgery, my grandfather had cataracts. I remember his eyes looked smoky. You can only see shadows. You couldn't see anything clearly. So the point is in the text that Isaac cannot see clearly. He can't see physically clearly, but he's also having trouble seeing emotionally clearly. We have to ask exactly what that means. Because as Isaac prepares to bestow this blessing on an undeserving son, his firstborn, he sends Esav out to hunt and make up a savory dinner. And perhaps you know the story that Rebecca, in the meantime, overhears this and she quickly gets Jacob to participate in the subterfuge I talked a little bit about last week. And he's supposed to slaughter 2 goats. And if anyone's ever chased a goat and the difference between a goat and deer maybe or some other game, you could taste the difference, right? So they makes 2 goats. She makes up a dinner similar with the same spices, we guess, dresses Jacob in hairy pelts so he'd appear more hairy like his brother Esav. And the text goes step by step as Isaac knows something's not right. The voice is Jacob's, but he touches the arm and it feels hairy, but does a pelt really feel like an arm, even a hairy arm? He says, "Are you my son, Esav?" And Jacob is quite deft and he answers, "I am." not saying I am a son, but not Isaac's firstborn, Esau. And besides, past all these hints, he even smells differently. Isaac still blesses Jacob with the blessing he intended for Esau. Was he really duped? Did he have an inkling this was Jacob and he just didn't want to confront the difficult truth of seeing his eldest son as so undeserving, and that his youngest son was deceiving him? What are we blind to in our personal lives? What are we blind to in our communal lives? And who are we blind to? Who do we just not see in their fullness, regardless of whether they're standing in front of us? Who do we simply not see, as if we had a physical blind spot, like Isaac's cataracts blocking our vision? Here's another term with the word blind in English: colorblind. It's an example of having a blind spot. And I'm not referring to the physical condition that some people have where they're physically unable to see either some or all color distinctions on the spectrum of the rainbow. I mean, how folks use that term to mean they don't judge people by the color of their skin. And that may come, if we want to try to be kind about it. Well, you know, we know that beautiful quote, inspirational quote from the Reverend Martin Luther King, that the hope is that we don't judge people by the color of their skin, we judge them by their character, right? But so even if innocently meant, it is clueless, because having colorblind means not seeing the person fully in front of you. There's an innocent value. We're all children of the same God with the same red blood flowing through us. But to be colorblind means not seeing a person's color or ethnic identity or faith as an integral part of that person's identity, who that person is. You can't see someone fully without seeing the color that they have. Now, my friends, God did not create a monochromatic world, which is a good SAT word, which means one color, right? We have an abundance of colors in God's creation. We have colors of flowers and birds and fruits and vegetables and human beings. And that's the way God made the world. Our diversity is intentional and therefore holy. When we say we're colorblind, we are really saying we're denying the uniqueness of others, of their historic and personal experiences that may most likely have shaped not just them, but have been shaped by their color in society and how that's seen or not seen. We are really saying that we are blind to the signs of inequity and harm that disproportionately have fallen on people of color, historically, in our country, and in the community. And that's why the term Black Lives Matter reverberated so strongly and spread so quickly, because it made visible what even the best of us had remained blind to. And most nefarious, the term colorblind has become a code word in certain political camps to justify challenging the legality of steps designed to counteract historic and systemic racism in our society. For example, in fighting affirmative action hiring, in college admissions, and voting rights legislation. What we choose not to see has significant political and personal impact on individuals, on our community, on our country, and on the world as a whole. What are we blind to? Who are we blind to? Now, here at Beth Shalom, we pride ourselves on our values of inclusivity and diversity. We are proud that our membership includes Jews of all colors. And we are proud to be part of a Howard County that also values inclusivity and diversity. And yet, perhaps because of our values, we don't see as clearly and as fully as we need to how those values are consistently applied in our community. It takes more than a willingness to see others in the fullness of who they are. It takes curiosity, it takes empathy, it takes courage to ask questions and the patience to really listen to answers. And that's why I hope, as I keep drumming this into everyone, I hope you'll join us in Courageous Conversations this year to learn how to ask, how to listen, and how to see each other and our neighbors in the fullness of our diversity. And that's why I hope that next time you meet someone new in the congregation, or perhaps someone that you've seen but not seen in a deep way, perhaps someone you don't know well, you will ask them about their story, where they come from, what's important to them, what they hope for when they are here. Our Torah is so amazing for so many reasons, but because our founders are reflected in the text as not being perfect. Indeed, their lives teach us through some of the things they do what we should do, and just as often, what we should not do. Father Isaac chose not to see who was before him, a decision that resulted in the exile of one son and the splitting up of his family. This story is here to teach us not to repeat the mistakes of the past and to inspire us to make every effort to see each other clearly, compassionately, and with curiosity, whether our family and friends, our neighbors and fellow congregants, people we meet in the community, and in the fullness of the human diversity that God vested each of us with, and the ability to have our eyes open to the possibility that the person before us may just need us to see them honestly and courageously enough to be able to offer them help, perhaps to see themselves and others more clearly, even as we hope that they can do that for us as well. Shabbat Shalom.